All right, in today's episode, I'm going to share 5 strategies to monetize your business with influencers. So stick around to the end because I'm going to share the best way to actually produce a profit with influencer posts and not just brand impressions, not brand awareness. And trust me, this is the best strategy when you want to build your army of influencers. My name is JoeyVaillancourt, and I help mission-based brands create profitable win-win partnerships with integrity influencers. So if you're a brand, you're in the right place. But if you're an influencer, you're also in the right place because you're going to be able to make more brand deals. So let's get into it. Now, influencers get a bad rap sometimes because of the lack of results, but it's really not fair, and it's not the fault of the influencer, okay? What it often comes down to is just like lack of knowledge and what the outcome is and getting in alignment before making a deal. So we're going to talk about a few examples today of the 5 different ways you can work with influencers. By the way, there's a whole bunch more, but really there's like 5 categories. And the way this conversation came up is that I was recently working with a client, and they have a lot of doctor endorsements, which doctor endorsements are amazing, right? They provide so much credibility for the brand, but ultimately they weren't producing any sales. So then it became, well, what's the outcome with these doctors? It's like, well, they have testimonials. And it's like, okay, great, but what's the result? Well, it increases conversions. Okay, well, by how much? Oh, we don't really know. So it was like, how much should we pay these doctors? Well, we pay them X amount, could be $100,000. And we don't know what it's producing as an ROI. So it's not to blame the client. It's not to say doctors aren't good, but it's like understanding what is the outcome of working with any kind of influencer. And most people don't really know. And then what happens is you go into a deal and you spend too much and you have no ROI. So therefore, influencer marketing doesn't work. And this isn't good for influencers and this isn't good for brands. So there's 5 ways that I suggest working with them. And they're going to walk through each of those and what the typical outcome is I expect based on each category of influencer promotion. So the first category is UGCs, or user-generated content. So this is when you hire an influencer and they do a scripted ad for you, or they do like an ad hoc post. And basically what you're doing is you're just paying them for the marketing asset. So it's an ad and you can put it on your website. You can put it in your testimonial sections for your customers. You can repurpose the content and run meta ads or any kind of PPC ads or something that has that asset within it. And the goal of this is just to increase conversions, provide credibility, whether it's a doctor endorsement or an influencer of notoriety that you want endorsing the brand, that increases the purchasing power when a customer lands on your site. But UGCs, they can be expensive because it's the creator's time, and there's not really a profit from it directly because you're just going to use it in your own marketing. So conversion optimizations, yes. Brand awareness, maybe. It depends on if they post or not. But ultimately, UGCs are really just for market and conversion optimizations. Number 2 is testimonials. So again, depending on your customer and your audience, who you're trying to target, you could get doctor endorsements. But really, doctor endorsements are just for conversion optimization again. So we go back to kind of like UGCs, but a doctor doesn't necessarily have to produce a UGC. It could just be they tried the product, they provide a testimonial, and then they agree that you can license that content on your page for a specific amount of time, or in perpetuity, as in like evergreen, and it's always on your page, and it just increases conversions. Now, what I would recommend if you're doing either testimonials or UGCs on your marketing pages, whether your website, etc., you want to just make sure you're running split tests. And what I like to look at is, obviously, did it beat the control page, but by how much? And if you start to see over time that it equates to a dollar amount, that then allows you to go hire more doctors or more testimonials, and how many more testimonials actually add to your bottom line. If you don't know the numbers, it's hard to justify hiring a new doctor or a new influencer to do a testimonial. So really, the category for like doctors and testimonials are brand awareness, conversion optimization, as well as like influencer acquisition optimization, because the more doctors you have on your page, the more credible you're going to seem to other influencers who you might want to acquire, either as your ambassador or potential like hybrid partner or somebody that's endorsing your brand longer term. Number 3, event sponsorships. So events are a little bit hard to manage ROI. A lot of people go to events and then like the CEO is like, well, what's the ROI from that event? And one term that I recently heard was like ROI, return on relationships. So really when it comes down to events, it's a really hard thing to get back in ROI. But the way I look at it is it's an eyes on brand mission. So think about, if you're going to sponsor an event, if you have like a sales team there selling products, that's a little bit different. But if you have an event that's in front of other influencers or doctors or people that you want to acquire as potential partners, that's a great event to sponsor. And the way that I would measure an ROI on that one is longer term, who came in from that event that started to promote you or what did you get from that event from an influencer introduction that led to either a UGC or a testimonial. So again, one of those first two buckets. But events are a little bit harder. I don't recommend going into them as your first influencer deal, but over time, that could be a great way to source new influencers if you're in front of the right crowds. All right, number 4 is called dark posting, creator licensing. The name kind of changes depending on the day, depending on who you talk to, but in its simplest form, it's getting an ad produced by the influencer, and then they're going to be posting it on their profile, and you're boosting the ad with your ad account so that the ad's coming from their profile, but you're controlling the ad spend. And this is great if you find a winning influencer and they're great on camera, they're willing to work with you longer term to do iterations to the ad, and you can actually license the content and push through their profile, because now you get to tap into their audience. You can also tap into different audience segments based on lookalikes and everything else that goes along with like Facebook meta ads and things like that people know way more than I do about this strategy. But I know it is a viable strategy. Typically, you're going to be paying for a post first, and then you're going to be paying a percentage of ad spend, which I don't like because, the more money I spend, the more the influencer makes, which is great. But I'd prefer it being on a profit basis, meaning like I'm going to share a percentage of profit on the sales as we make it so that we can grow together. And if you frame it that way with the influencers, some people take you up on it. And I would always try to go for that deal versus percentage of ad spend. But that's a great, in addition to what you're doing with influencers, adding that to your opportunities once you've established a relationship with an influencer that you trust, that wants to work with you longer term. All right, number 5 is the absolute most profitable thing, and it's what every business strives for when you work with influencers. It's getting them to post about the product. Get them to post with a link, a code, tagging your profile, hashtagging your product. So you're going to be increasing organic impressions to your audience, and you're going to be gaining a bunch of new followers as well as customers, because people are going to be purchasing even outside of the links. So many times this happens whenever influencers do promotions that it doesn't get tracked. Think about when an influencer posts about your product, somebody might go click the link, they might hit a code, they might remember to go buy it later if they're on their phone, and then they forget about it. But ultimately, you're retargeting that audience. You're maybe also sending to Amazon, or people are just going to Amazon because it's like one-click purchase. It's so easy. It's next day delivery. But ultimately, the way I want to monetize influencers over time is getting them to post about the product on a monthly basis through the compensation of either product, payment, or commission, or the beauty of all three, a hybrid deal. Giving them product, giving them a flat rate, but it's a discounted flat rate because you're also giving them a commission percentage. Now, most of the time when you go to influencers and you engage with them and you say, I want to work with you, they're going to give you their flat rate cost. This is what I charge for UGC, take it or leave it. And if they don't want to work with you past that deal, that's okay. Sometimes you just got to move on from it. But the way I try to frame it is, hey, I understand that your time is valuable and we have to pay for you for compensation because, of course, you have a whole bunch of other brands chasing you down. But we do things a little bit differently. And this is, of course, if you do things differently. So if you don't go this route. Go for the EGC, go for the testimonial. But if you want longer term collaborations and less work, less churn, you kind of frame it in the way that we don't want to just pay for one UGC. We want to develop a long-term strategy. In order for us to do that, though, we need to find a win-win partnership where we can combine the best of both worlds. We want to pay you for your time, but we also want to pay you commission. Would it be fair to say that we could create a better long-term strategy, like a risk-mitigated deal in terms of if their flat rate's $1,000, maybe if you say, hey, I'm willing to commit to you for 12 months, let's do $500 a month, and we'll give you commissions. This way, they know they're going to get longer-term deals, more cash in their pocket, more commitment, and less having to shop for more deals. And once they get aligned with your brand, there's less work for them because they already know the talking points. They're using the product. Hopefully, they're becoming super fans. And so, yes, ideally, you just want to pay them on commission because who wouldn't? It's there's no risk there, right? So there are people like ambassadors and customers who could just share a code, share a link, and then if they make a sale, you make a sale, therefore you only pay when a sale is made, no risk. But what that also doesn't account for is that there's no accountability. There's no accountability in terms of, are they posting next month? Are they posting in 3 months? Whereas if you're willing to invest in influencers and make a win-win partnership, so again, don't pay for the full rate as to what they're asking for, but pay for a discounted rate and then comp them on a commission percentage model, you're willing to do longer term deals and account for traffic in the future. So it's not everybody's route that they like to take because nobody likes to pay for something they can't guarantee back as an ROI. what I've noticed is that if you want to play the long game on this, if you want to play volume, if you want to have actually accountability on metrics as far as impressions to predict for your company by working with influencers, it's better to get them on a bit of a hybrid deal, meaning traffic's coming every month and that, yeah, you're paying them a small fee, but it's also in compensation that you're sharing a profit with them and you're developing more of a partnership rather than a transactional deal. And the more you align with mission-based influencers, the more you can work with them longer term versus transactional, hey, I just want to give you a UGC and then I'm done. I don't want to do anything with you anymore after that. So it really depends on what your strategy is. But one of those 5 will definitely work for you. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not biased to one or the other. It's just really aligning with what is the outcome you're trying to produce. Are you trying to get an asset? Are you trying to drive sales? Are you trying to acquire more influencers by being exposed to audiences, whether it's events or through posting about influencers? The secondary thing that happens beyond profit is notable influencers are followed by other notable influencers. So in addition to sales, you're also attracting new eyes. And in which case, sometimes the influencer themselves can collect tier 2 commissions on people they refer to you in your business if you set up a compensation model that allows them to set up introductions for you in your business to acquire more influencers. And that's the wildfire referral networking system that I like to implement with my clients. It works really well once you get a base of influencers who really are diehard fans and love your product and want to promote you, not just their audience, but all the influencers that follow them and their friends. So listen, next time you're working with an influencer, do yourself a favor, understand what the outcome is first and what you're paying for. And based on those 2 things, you'll have a better understanding and alignment with the influencers so that you both are happy at the end of the engagement. Make sure to check out more videos, more episodes on this channel, on the podcast. We talk about these types of things all day long to help you bring more sales from influencers, as well as influencers get more brand deals by working smarter with brands. And the currency today is like and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me, and it's free to do. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care, and remember, you're always one partnership away from changing your business.